Hey, fellow musician, I trust that you are doing well and staying safe during this pandemic. Today, I'll be talking about parallel compression on a vocal. But first, let's figure out why someone would want to use parallel compression on a vocal. For instance, this vocal is not well recorded, so I don't want to do some heavy processing on the original signal. So instead, I'm going to do some heavy processing on a parallel track and then blend the parallel track with the original signal to help the vocal sound more present and sit well in the mix. So as you can see, let me show you the EQ. As you can see with the EQ, I'm only cutting some problem frequencies. I'm not boosting anything. Even the compressor is doing some minor compression and then some de-essing as well. As you can see, I'm doing I'm de-essing different frequencies. As you can see, this one is taking care of everything that's above 6K. And then this de-esser is taking care of everything from 2 kilohertz up to 6 kilohertz. So nothing fancy there. And then first, I'm going to show you two different ways of doing parallel compression. Oh, and another reason for using parallel compression on a vocal is when you are working with some musicians like classical or jazz musicians. Those people usually want their sounds to stay organic and as natural as possible with a lot of dynamics. So you might use parallel compression to help the vocal to sit well in the mix, because when the vocal is too dynamic, it can be a bit hard to get it to sit well in the mix. So that's another reason to use parallel compression on a vocal. And then in some other cases, it will be just for attitude and adding some sonic characters to your vocal. So what I'm going to do is to start with the basic parallel compression. So check it out. I'll start with the parallel track disengaged and then I'll engage it, and then you guys will be able to hear what the parallel track is doing to help the vocal sit well in the mix. So check it out.
Toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. Everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let.
So the difference is simply day and night. You can be able to tell that now the vocal is sounding much more present. It's sounding more brighter. So let's see what I did to the parallel track. So what I'll do is just to solo the parallel track. Now we are only listening to the parallel track. And then the first thing that I did was to control the breath, because the vocal had loud breaths. So I want to make sure that I control those breaths so that when it comes time for compression, the compressor doesn't bring up the vocal breath that much. So check it out with and without.
Night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, but I seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is where.
So I'm just making sure that I'm controlling the breath, and obviously the plugin is missing some of the breaths, which are okay because those are not way too loud. And then next up, I have the denoise because the vocal has too much background noise. So I want to clean that out. Obviously, this is why I'm doing parallel compression, because I don't want to do all this cleaning on the original signal because it ruins the vocal. It makes it sound a bit weird. That's why I don't want to do all this heavy processing on the original signal track. As you can see, it's really important for me to use a parallel track to do all this processing, and then we'll blend this parallel track with the original signal later. So let's check out the denoise.
Patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna. Everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night.
So now the vocal is sounding much more cleaner, and then now we can move on to adding compression, because now if I didn't clean that vocal, what was going to happen is that the compressor was going to bring up all that background noise and all those loud breaths, and then it would defeat the purpose of helping the vocal to cut through, because those things will be way too loud. So that's why I had to make sure that I clean those things out first, because I'm going to do some heavy compression. Check it out.
Turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin.
As you can see, this is some really heavy compression to make sure that I bring down all the loud peaks and then bring up the soft and quieter parts of the vocal, so that all the words that she's singing are consistent in volume, like they are the same level. That's why I had to make sure that I clean out the background noise and the loud breaths, so that they don't also come up when I bring the quieter and softer parts of the vocal. And then next up, what I have is an EQ to remove some muddy frequencies, and then another EQ to brighten up the vocal, and then add some body and weight to the vocal. Since this is a female vocal, it can sound a bit too thin. So that's why I'm adding some weight in the low end, and then bring up the higher frequencies to bring up the presence and to help the vocal shine in the mix. And then let's check out the parallel track with and without all the processing.
I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, where you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our light, because again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told.
So now the parallel track sounds much more cleaner and it's more brighter. So instead of me boosting the higher frequencies on the original signal, I'm going to use the parallel track to bring up those higher frequencies without messing up the vocal. And then, so now let's blend the tri-signal with the parallel track.
I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. Everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. Everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, chase something better, and you can't.
So obviously I'm a bit exaggerating the effect to make sure that it comes out, because I don't know how it will sound on YouTube. So that's why I'm exaggerating it a bit. But obviously make sure that you don't make the effect sound more obvious. You just want it to be more felt instead of being heard. So I'll just keep switching between before and after so that you can be able to hear how the parallel track is helping the vocal cut through the mix.
And you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. Everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin.
So even when she's singing like softly, you can be able to hear the words that she's saying. That's the advantage of using parallel compression on a bad recording. Now let's move on to the more advanced parallel compression technique. And then this one is more of a sound and attitude and adding some sonic character to a vocal. I would use this technique on a well-recorded vocal to add some attitude to a vocal. So what I'll do is to, as you can see now it's disabled. First things first, let's check out what it does to a vocal, and then I'll explain what's going on later.
And you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, check something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the.
So the effect is also day and night. Now you can tell that the vocal is sounding much more brighter. It has more body. As I told you before, I don't want to create any boosts in the higher frequencies because it messes up the vocal. So I'm using different compressors to add some attitude, brighten the vocal, and add some body and weight to the vocal. In order to achieve this effect, you can't use transparent compressors like the Pro C2 or your stock plugins and stuff like that. You have to use tube compressors. You have to use they are called very new compressors. These are a different type of compressors. Like they are really old school, so they have some nice circuitry and they add some really dope sonic characters to any signal. So they have their own sound. Each and every compressor has its own sound. Like for instance, the Puke Child, it's known for adding body to a signal, you know. Like each and every compressor will have its own attitude and character. So let me show you different compressors that I'm using. I'm using the Opticom from Plugin Alliance, and then I'm using the new Abbey Roads RS124, and then the distressor. As you can see, my distressor also has a distortion on it to add more character. And then I'm also using the 2A and then the MJ. You see, of course, you can't go wrong with this one. It adds some really nice character. It's a dope tube compressor. And then finally, obviously, the Puke Child for more body. And each and every compressor has its own character. As you can see, the volumes are different. I'm blending the different characters to get the sound that I want. So all these compressors are being sent to the original signal. So if any of this sounds too technical, then leave a comment below and I'll be able to help you. But that's how you do it. You just use different tube compressors and then blend them with the vocal to add whatever character that you need on the vocal. For this one, I needed more body and more brightness. So I used these different compressors to achieve that. So check it out.
Turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know where to begin. You wanna go into the world, check something better, and you can't seem to let it go, but I won't stop ya. We toss and turn all through the night because you let her into our lives again. And everybody has their ups and downs, but my patience is wearing thin. I told the truth, instead you lied. Don't know.
So this is a more advanced parallel compression technique, which I would use on a vocal that is well recorded, of course. So for this vocal, since it's not a good recording, I would go with the basic parallel compression technique. One thing to note is that You can't use both techniques at the same time. Like that would just be overkill. Do what works for the vocal that you're currently working on. Don't apply parallel compression just because I'm showing it to you on this video. Make sure that you have proper intent and you have a valid reason for doing all this stuff. And I hope that you found value in this video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. You know I always respond to all the questions. And that's it for today. Take good care, stay safe, protect your family and your loved ones, your friends, and everyone who's around you. So make sure that you stay safe during this pandemic and have fun with the music. And we'll talk again soon. Take good care. Cheers.